And hello, everybody. Once again, this is Sean and Jared back again for another episode of Showtimes. Coming at you with a big double feature today. It's all Star Wars, all around the clock, all the time, never ending, just like the Star Wars franchise itself. You can't escape it anymore.
The series that holds us, binds us together, and is in us all.
You mean the midichlorians?
No.
Oh.
No. Just Star Wars in general.
Well, that sucks because we have to talk about midichlorians, I guess, in this new one because we're talking about Rise of Skywalker, and we're talking about the final 4 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Okay, first of all, you're going to need to talk if you're talking midichlorians because George Lucas and J.J. Abrams promised me I would never hear that word again, Sean.
See, you didn't hear it, but it is in there. And it happens in a very sinister and subtle way.
Oh, are you talking? I've seen something about this, and I think we were talking about it where Darth Plagueis.
No, that is something entirely different.
Okay,
that's the good old Star Wars incest angle, and we'll get to that later. But first of all, it's been a few days now for Star Wars. People, it's been out there long enough. People have seen it. People know it. They've consumed it. Apparently not as much as the other movies, but whatever. But people have seen Star Wars at this point, so
we're spoiling dog shit out of it.
Spoiling everything. I'm glad we're over that 1 minute hump there because you just swore and YouTube doesn't like swearing before the first minute. So
okay.
But we're doing this spoilers and all, baby. So if you don't want, skip to the time code that gets mentioned right here.
1 hour, 11 minutes and 19 seconds.
And you can hear that just after Jared's chair squeak there. That I'm pretty sure was actually a fart.
No, that wasn't a fart.
Sure it wasn't.
I'll let you
anyway,
know if a
fart. Star Wars Episode 9. Let me get this out of the way first. This is not the worst Star Wars movie ever.
No, it's not.
That dubious honor still goes to Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
I will still argue Phantom Menace on that one, but
see, you say that, but Phantom Menace at least had interesting things to look at, like the pod racing. I know everybody harps on it; they say it sucks. I don't think so. I honestly kind of like.
No, I enjoyed pod racing.
I like the pod racing scene. It can be condensed a little bit. Doesn't need to be as long. Darth Maul is a cool and interesting character, at least when you don't know anything about him. In
that movie, he's interesting and fun.
In that movie, he's interesting and fun.
Then he comes back.
He's dark, he's mysterious, and you're like, oh, I want to know more about it. Oh, he's dead. Never mind. And beyond that, he's just kind of a boring asshole.
With his one line, because movies don't like to let Ray Park talk.
No. But yeah, I cannot remember a single exciting thing happening in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Name me anything exciting.
Jango Fett?
Name me anything exciting.
That's all I got.
So, yeah. New Star Wars trilogy in general, 7, 8, 9. Nowhere near as bad as the prequels. At least I like the characters. And I enjoy the setups that they have.
It's not that I didn't like the characters in the prequel. It's just Anakin became insufferable after a while.
So after Episode 1. Episode 2 and 3, Anakin was insufferable. Which just adds to my...
I don't blame Hayden Christensen, though, because the man emotes fantastically.
The man does wonderful emotes.
Like, I felt Anakin's pain, but
he conveys it well visually,
felt him
which is very,
crying.
very difficult.
I also heard him crying.
Yeah. It's very difficult for an actor to portray emotion, like genuine emotion. A lot of people want to say, oh, they look so sad. It's like, yeah, they look sad, but I don't believe they are.
No, I believed he fucking hated Ewan McGregor in that moment in time with that look on. I believe it.
Yes. But it's a good thing we can talk about Anakin and Hayden Christensen because they're in Episode 9.
Not
very briefly.
Like the voice.
Well,
you have everybody's voice. Liam Neeson's there. Luke, Leia.
Yeah, pretty sure I heard Sam Jackson.
Yeah, Yoda.
Yeah, but Yoda came back in the last episode and blew up a tree.
Also, a bunch of them that are in like the side shows. Like, I believe they said Ahsoka's voice was in there.
Yeah, I don't know her voice, so I can't say one way or another.
If
you heard it in
once.
there, let us know, and you can say whether or not we're just a couple of fat assholes on the internet. Which I mean,
we've already been.
That's
called
also true.
Remember the Justice League thing? We've been called that before.
Oh, yeah.
Many times.
Yes. But we're not here to talk about the failings of Justice League. We're here to talk about the failings of J.J. Abrams and Star Wars Episode 9. AKA, I wanted to make Episode 8 and 9, but they handed it off to somebody else. And then after Kathleen Kennedy didn't do her proper job as a producer and review the script and story for Episode 8 from Rian Johnson, she grossly overcorrected and fired Colin Trevorrow and hired me back. So I had to make 2 movies into one.
Good goddamn, you're not wrong.
Because sweet Jeebus.
Yeah, they really try very hard to undo most of the last episode in this one. It's
not that they undo it. One of the big strengths of storytelling and acting is the yes and principle. You build off of what's come before, and you say, yes, and here's the next thing. It's a thing in improv. When you work with somebody else, you never get a no, and you don't halt the momentum of the act. You say, yes, and this happened, and then the other person goes, yes, and this happened, and it builds. And this movie, while it doesn't just say flat no, it says yes, but, and takes it in a different direction, and it says no, and takes it in a slightly off-skewed direction.
Yeah, like Rey is definitely not nobody. She is Palpatine's granddaughter.
See, that's an example of yes, but, because they say, yes, your parents were nobodies, but they chose to be. And the whole Snoke was actually in charge of the First Order, and that's a no, and Palpatine is back with no explanation.
And he was he created Snoke and was manipulating
that might be one of my favorite. Okay, so let's get into
the whole time.
Let's tackle this thing from the top. Like a skyscraper, we'll go top to bottom.
Okay, so you basically...
Starting at the top, the shortest opening credits crawl ever is 3 paragraphs.
Yeah.
And it opens...
Then you flash to Kylo Ren just murdering folks.
Yes.
Like, anger because whispers throughout the universe.
The dead speak!
Palpatine's back.
How did he come back? Fuck you. That's how. Shut up and eat your popcorn, bitch. These are words that actually come up on screen.
He's been there the whole time, but Kylo Ren has to go murder a bunch of people on a planet to find a GPS tracker that leads to him.
I wish I could say that's a
I'm not
gross
lying.
oversimplification.
No.
It is not. It might be.
Then he flies through a red storm.
Yes, despite the fact that space works in 3 dimensions and you can actually go around said storm.
I'm just wondering if is the planet was in the storm.
That's what I think. But it can't be because everybody has to go through the storm to get to the planet.
I don't know. I don't, because you had to follow a specific path. Maybe it was like on the outskirts of the storm and you couldn't fly behind. I don't know, because remember,
that doesn't make any sense either.
Well, the ships couldn't leave the planet's atmosphere unless they had like a beam thing that happens at the end. But,
yeah, we'll get to the beam. We'll get to the beam. But yeah, Kylo Ren finds the GPS tracker and makes his jump and flies his TIE whatever through the red cloud, and he lands. And that's a big thing about this. Every time somebody happens on this planet, they have to show them landing and getting out of their ship.
Yeah.
He goes
plugging their lightsaber on for no reason.
He goes into the place and he discovers Palpatine hooked up to this giant
like life support machine, basically.
I thought it was kind of like one of those things you put a baby in, like a giant mechanical baby harness.
Kind of.
That kind of just wheels him around wherever he needs
to
be.
Like baby harness / life support system.
Yes, and he's like, "You, Kylo Ren, I have been everyone you've heard in your head. I don't know why I had to be Darth Vader and Emperor Snoke, but I could have just cut the middleman and been Emperor Palpatine."
Oh, here's Snoke's more failed Snokes.
I made Snoke. Look over there, I've got 2 more. I'm going to have them make out later for my own amusement.
I mean, you can at least call Palpatine. He's like the 30-year hide and seek champion.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
which, speaking of Palpatine, I will say one of the things I enjoy about this movie, which is something I enjoy about all the Star Wars movies that have Ian McDiarmid in it. This man knows how to ham it up.
Yeah, he does.
It's not quite as over the top as Episode 3, but damn is it close.
Yeah, he looks better than he did in like there's no facial damage, just his hands are fucked up now.
Yeah.
And he's blind. He looks blind.
That's because he went hands down first into the reactor and he summoned up a force shield and backwards sproinged himself out into space.
I mean, if Leia can fly through space, I imagine he can.
Yeah, he probably did that same.
He probably rode the lightning. Yeah,
he's flying through space, jamming out to Metallica's Ride the Lightning at the same time. He's like, da, da, da.
Speaking of lightning,
we'll
all
get to
the lightning.
We'll get to that in a minute. After that, we are immediately thrown into Poe and Finn in the Millennium Falcon, running from something.
They get
this is a problem with this movie. Don't get a popcorn and drink that you might have to refill when you go to this movie if you go to see it, because you will miss so much.
No, they were getting
in the minute and a half you have to go get this stuff. Don't go to the bathroom either. You'll miss so much.
They were getting a message from a traitor.
That's it.
Inside the First Order,
yes.
Or now the Last Order.
Which leads me to something I do have to compliment them on. That shot where they go into the ice cavern or whatever, and it's like the very still lake that's got the reflection in it of the mountains and everything, and it's just serene. It looks so good. And I was like, damn, that looks like a really good shot. Nice job, Star Wars.
Yeah.
You made me say good job. And then they come up with the bright idea to do micro jumps, which is another thing that they just decided to pull out of their ass, which doesn't seem to work all that well.
They called it the something technique that based off the lady in the last movie who did it. Like she kicked the hyperspace to split all the ships in two.
Yes, but that's a discussion for another day in and of itself. But they start doing micro hyperspace jumps, and they basically just destroy the TIE fighters by accident.
Yeah, they basically were just like popping to show, we can do this planet and this planet, and that was a fan service moment for sure.
That felt like a checkbox they had to hit. It's like Big Daddy Disney said, you have to have this many planets, and they're like, all right, fine, that planet, that planet.
No,
this
was
and we've got quota.
This was fan service, the movie for sure.
No, it was. And they eliminate all the TIE fighters, and they fly back to the Rebel base.
Where Rey is training.
Under Leia, which I know probably some people are going to be like, Leia never completed her training. I was like, no, I don't give a shit about any of that. I actually kind of like Rey's training. It's both a mental and a physical thing.
Yeah.
And
just the whole... They should have at least covered how did they rebuild that lightsaber that was blew apart and it looks brand new.
Just don't question that. See, that's kind of the problem with this whole movie. It's a very flimsy house of cards. Last Jedi, at least, was a decently stacked house of cards. Now, if you blew any kind of question its way, about the second question you blow that way, that house of cards is coming down. With this house of cards, if you look at it in a slightly quizzical manner, the whole thing explodes.
You're not wrong.
And that's one of the questions. It's a story. It's like Maz Kanata said. It's a story. It's an interesting story, but one for another time that we will never know.
Yeah, they've already confirmed
the J.J. Abrams mystery box bullshit method of making fucking movies.
Well, apparently the next one is going to be Rey training new Jedi.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just hope they get their shit together and actually make a competent story out of the next 3 movies, because you have to make 3 movies, I guess.
No, they've said they're halting the brakes on trilogies for a while.
Oh, that'd be nice. That way Jon Favreau can get his holiday special in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's right. He wants it. He wants it like Big Daddy Palp Palp wants the Force out of his younger grandchild.
I don't know.
Which, God, that's one of the stupidest fucking things ever, and I hate it. But we'll get to that. They show up, and Rey and Poe meet for the very first time.
No, it's the second.
Is it the second?
They met in the Falcon on The Last Jedi.
Okay.
It's like, hey, I'm Poe. And I only remember this because I went back and watched Force Awakens and Last Jedi before I went and saw Rise Skywalker.
Right. I had no desire to do that, so I didn't.
I did.
Okay. I'm glad you did, because so they had a line of dialogue in the previous movie.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I know.
So this is the first time that they have had any kind of actual meaningful interaction.
And they don't really like each other that much.
They don't. Shocker, because Poe's a huge asshole.
Yeah, Poe in this movie just kind of became more and more unlikable, which...
Yes.
They felt a need to shoe in a backstory with him for some reason, which
because they were supposed to tackle it in the second movie, and then that asshole Rian Johnson had other ideas that we didn't review.
I didn't need a Poe Dameron backstory, though.
But how would you know he smuggled drugs?
I don't care. He's a great pilot. That's all I needed to know. He's the best pilot in the galaxy. They've literally said that like 4 times. He's the best pilot since fucking Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Like, I get it. Poe's the great, like, I don't need to know he smuggled drugs. He's a fantastic fucking pilot. That's all I need to know about Poe Dameron.
Well, before we can get to that, we have to talk about recycled Carrie Fisher footage, because that is all J.J. Abrams had was shit that he didn't use in episode 7, that he basically had to recycle and recut. So he had to go through and chop off her audio when she told Rey no, they had to chop off Poe at the very end, because that's exactly what they were doing with that. You just barely hear the audio cut there where she says, "No, Poe," and they just, "Nope." And that's all you get. But
yeah, I'm kind of wondering
the Carrie Fisher
how
stuff in this is...
daughter felt about that, because her daughter's there on set.
I don't know.
Having to watch this person body double her mom.
Yeah, probably the same way she felt when she found out her mom was digitally replaced in episode or Rogue One, in like the worst CG ever.
But Carrie Fisher was alive when Rogue One was shot.
Yeah, maybe she died of shame.
That woman had a hard life.
Yeah, well, we won't go there.
Yeah,
no disrespecting Carrie Fisher.
R.I.P. Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, that woman. You should really look into what she did besides acting, because she did a lot in Hollywood. She was a real big name and a big mover and shaker. Big in voice acting, too. But we go from recycled footage of Carrie Fisher that they didn't use in episode 7 to Finn and Poe giving some kind of an explanation about the traitor, if I'm not mistaken. What happened next? Because I do not remember.
I believe the traitor gave them information. The traitor gave them information on what Kylo Ren was doing.
Okay.
And they went to the planet to find
That's what led them to the desert planet.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And from there, they run into who else but Lando Calrissian. At first, his body double, because once you get past that, it's very, very obvious that Billy D. Williams is not in the best shape in his old age and is having to lean against everything, and his body doubles out there. He's like, "Quickly in here," and he's running around and he's ducking and weaving, and then he gets inside and he's like, "Okay, let me sit down real quick," and he removes his helmet. He's like, "Okay, now we can talk." I couldn't out there, because I'm not going to stand in the hot sun for hours on end, because...
Poor Billy D. Williams.
Oh, God. Poor everybody they drug out of retirement for this. They put him through the ringer.
They drug a few people. They actually drugged somebody out they tried to get for The Force Awakens.
Oh?
But they didn't want to put enough zeros on a check at first. Wedge shows up.
Oh, that's right. Well, we'll get to Wedge's cameo.
That's much later, but
yeah, with him basically being there for a grand total of 3 minutes and not giving any fucks.
Yeah, last time they asked him to, he straight said no.
I understand.
Yeah,
but
they go to the desert planet with Billy D. Williams, and apparently they have to go further to find a dagger.
Well, they have to go find a ship.
A ship.
Yes.
That
which
was
somehow Rey recognizes out of like the billions of ships that are out there, I guess. Like, why is
that's the one that flew away?
That's the only ship that looks like that?
Apparently.
I mean, I see a lot of models of my car out there. I don't look at it and go, is that my car? I wonder.
You know what?
That would be like walking out, seeing a blue Honda Civic and going, I remember that car from my childhood years ago. And it's like, there's thousands of that out there. It's the same problem I had with
there's one car I would not
Darth Vader making C-3PO.
There's only like one car I would not do that with, and that's the car I currently drive, because I don't think I've ever seen another one like it.
Right.
And it's
you're lucky like that.
It's a Nissan NX 91. They're not common.
Not a common car. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's off topic.
But yeah, that always kind of bugged me when I saw that, because it really just are starships just not that common?
Well, I mean, it's like when it comes to Star Wars,
Luke's X-wing because it has the
marking
signature.
Yeah, but
I'm assuming it's an electronic signature, kind of like how they identify aircraft by their signals. But
it's like we've never seen another ship like the Millennium Falcon.
No, this is true.
TIE fighters and the Imperial ships and stuff like that are kind of a dime a dozen. But the smaller ships that are specific to a character, you've never really seen another one. Like, you've never seen a second Slave One.
Which really baffles me, because
you've never seen another version.
Are all these people just like super fucking rich and like they really just don't contribute to the Rebel Alliance because they're assholes then?
Well, like, I think...
Like, was Han
Last
Solo
Jedi kind of went into this with Del Toro's character, as far as the people who make just the fighter ships and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. They make them for everybody, and they're generic as fuck.
Right.
I guess the other ships are kind of not as common as a thing. I think the only character who has a ship that's kind of like everything else would be Mando from The Mandalorian. His ship is like just a freighter ship that
I suppose
there are many, many of them out there.
I suppose we'll get to that when we get to the Mandalorian, though. But they go out to the desert and they hunt down this dude's ship. And they try to go over to it, and they immediately get sucked into quicksand, or a quicksand-like subject.
Yep.
And Finn feels he needs to tell Rey something very, very urgent, but then when they find out they're not dying, he's like, I'll tell you later.
And he never does.
And never does. Now, supposedly, he was going to say, by the way, I'm force sensitive, which means nothing throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah, like the whole movie, I was like, can he use the force? Can he not use it?
It's loosely hinted at in various scenes, but again, it adds nothing to the actual movie itself. So
I think that was like a whole side plot that never came to fruition at all.
Right.
And then they also introduce, at this point, they are down there. I believe they find the dagger, and then the giant sandworm snake thing pops up, and Rey immediately force heals it.
Yes.
Now, this is something that was in Expanded Universe, but it's never been a thing until actually the episode right before this is going back to Mandalorian, the episode the child force heals somebody.
Yes.
That's the first time we've ever seen it on screen, and they released it the day before Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
He tried.
That way they could say, yes, we set this up.
Yeah.
See, Jedi can do this shit.
Because that's the only time it's really ever been a thing besides Expanded Universe and like the comics and stuff.
Yeah, which I really don't care about that.
And then,
okay, well, that's something they're bringing in.
Then they kind of just took it and ran with it. They're like, this is the thing now, and we're going to use it like 7 more times.
Yeah. So they all decide to pile into this guy's ship.
Because the Rey feels something, and then the Knights
she
of
feels
Ren,
Kylo Ren
are there.
Yeah, she feels Kylo Ren coming, and the Knights of Ren all come out and
kidnap Chewie because Poe's
we have to
dick.
Not Poe, it's Finn. Finn looks over at this horribly old dog monkey person and says, "Hey, go do this thing that I normally do.
Go get Rey."
Yeah, go get Rey because I have to stay here and do stuff." And all it is so that they had a reason for Chewie to get captured.
I think that this scene's purpose was just to set up the rest of the movie, because that's also where you have C-3PO can read what the dagger says, but he can't speak it because Sith is a forbidden language.
Can we talk about C-3PO for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because I don't know why C-3PO classifies any of these people as friends. They're all horrible dickheads to him. Like every other scene, they're like, "Shut the fuck up, 3PO! I'm in control here." And then Finn's saying is like, "Yeah, 3PO, just get the fuck out of our way, asshole." And even R2 is, I'm pretty sure he's just cursing at him because Anthony Daniels was a huge dick to God, what was his name that did the original puppeteering in that little R2 unit?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't either.
I know who you're talking
about. I'm so ashamed.
Yeah.
I am so ashamed. But yeah, I don't know why C-3PO classifies these people as friends. They're terrible to him.
Yeah.
They haul him all over the galaxy, and they're like, you can read this, but you can't say it? Well, fuck it, we're pulling it out of your memory. And that'll erase your memory.
That sets up where they go next, but
we'll get to that.
It also sets up.
And anytime he tries to offer constructive advice or criticism, immediately they're just like, "Shut up, 3PO, get out the way."
Yeah. Well, you also have Finn sending Chewie to do the thing. Finn sent
a senior citizen out into the desert, a very hirsute senior citizen, I might add.
And then he immediately follows him and watches him get captured like 3 minutes later. And then Rey thinks she has killed him because Kylo
shows up and she does that little flip over the TIE fighter and she slices off the wing, which is really cool. And then he survives somehow.
Yeah, he pops out, and then they have a forced tug of war.
Yeah, she tries to bring down
ship that's flying.
Yes.
And then she gets mad and force lightnings it and blows the thing up.
Which I thought for a brief second, I don't know why, they're like, "Oh, okay, this is interesting. There could be consequences and ramifications to this." She could go on this existential journey. She's like, "Oh God, am I really destined for evil?" That's something that clearly only the evil Sith have done.
5 seconds later, wrong ship.
5 scenes later.
Not even 5 scenes, like 5 minutes later.
Oh, it's not. You were probably closer with 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It is so soon.
Chewbacca's alive.
Apparently, she grabbed another transport that looked identical to the one
there
that Chewie
were 2
was
of
on.
them.
There were apparently 2 of them, and they hid one behind a dune just in case.
No, they were. You see them both like there.
Do you see them both?
Yeah, you see them both.
I do not remember seeing them.
They just load Chewie into the other one.
I do not remember seeing 2.
But that kind of just leads me.
But it's okay. She killed a whole bunch of other innocent people, but they weren't Chewbacca, so they don't matter.
So that leads me to the question: how do Force powers work?
I don't
because I'm pretty sure, like at least even playing.
Like how are you meaning? Because I'm seeing this work in my horrible brain that she doesn't really know which power to activate in certain parts, and she gets mad and she reaches out and accidentally heals a guy on the ship. And she just reaches out, like, and Kylo Ren yanks it the other way, and in the meantime you cut inside, it's like, my pancreatitis feels gone.
Well,
I feel better.
I feel like just the way I imagine the Force working, you have to pretty much channel what you're trying to do.
Yes.
Like when you heal somebody, you have to be transferring the life force. When you're playing tug of war, like grabbing and pulling, I'd imagine it's something like pulling a rope. When you're shooting lightning out, I imagine that would be something like just throwing and releasing anger instead. And just, I don't see the powers working the same, but
I don't either.
I don't have the force.
A much smarter version, I feel, would have been like she crushes part of the ship, or like the engine explodes in midair, and she's like, "Oh God, what have I done?"
You had to do the lightning to show she's related to Palpatine.
Yeah,
which other Sith can do lightning. Like, that was my favorite power in the Force Unleashed game. It's like I just shocked the shit out of everybody before I got to them. And then I'd hack them with my lightsaber when I got close.
KOTOR, baby.
Yeah.
You get just enough dark side points to get access to that Sith lightning.
Exactly.
Fuck everybody.
Exactly.
But
if
we try and fix episode 9, we're going to be here all goddamn day. So we're going to continue from here. One last thing I want to say about the Chewbacca death in massive quotation marks. Kylo Ren looks remarkably unfazed. Like, he looks like he just got told a dirty joke, and he's like he thinks he has zero reason to believe that Chewbacca didn't just die. And this is somebody he's known all his life again.
That was like, Chewbacca's like basically his hairy uncle.
Yeah, he's basically his uncle.
Yeah.
Him and Lumpy are probably like bonded brothers somewhere down the line.
Oh my God. Why did you have to bring that up?
I'm just saying, Lumpy probably helped him out of a couple of scrapes when he was in Jedi Academy.
Oh, God fucking damn it.
Lumpy, I need your help. I accidentally TP'd the girl's dormitory. I can always count on you, Lumpy. You're a good friend.
God damn it, Sean.
But yeah, he doesn't even look phased. He's just like, oh, whoa, fuck, that was dangerous. Oh, well.
Yeah.
And that's like all there is to it.
Uncle Chewie's dead next.
Yeah. But they go off. Nobody really feels all that phased about it. Like, even our heroes, who are friends, again, in quotes, with Chewbacca, they're just like, well, we got to complete this or else Chewie died for nothing. And it's just like, you guys are awful quick to write Chewie off.
Yeah, and then they go to the planet where they meet Power Ranger Lady.
Yes, where they meet Poe's old flame. And
get a pointless backstory dump.
How long do you think Kerry Russell was actually on set?
She showed up twice, so maybe...
You'll only see her face once.
This is true.
How much do you think Kerry Russell is actually on set? Because I'm betting...
like a day.
I'm betting less than a day. I'm gonna ballpark this and be generous. I'm gonna say half a day. She walked up, did her line with the visor. The rest is body double and ADR.
Probably.
And that's it. But they are introduced to a bunch of people on this planet that's under Imperial lockdown. You see a bunch of people going door to door, just busting in and going, "We're the Imperial stormtroopers, get the fuck on the floor."
You also have your 10-second John Williams cameo and that there.
Yeah. Okay, that's another thing I will give this movie that I have given all the Star Wars movies. John Williams continues to deliver quality music.
Yes.
Every single score that man does, the absolute lowest one is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. He does great music for that movie.
You can tell the man loves what he does.
Oh yeah, he seriously does. But each musical piece feels unique and flavorful, and I like it. And I think I'm out of things I like about the Force. I'm out of things I like about the Rise of Skywalker. But we're introduced to Poe's backstory, where he was once a drug runner, and Finn apparently is disgusted at this.
He keeps making fun of it.
He seemed indignant almost when he's like, "You're in drugs?"
It's like, bro, you were a stormtrooper.
That's exactly my next thought. Is like, you were a child soldier. Don't judge me.
Yeah. It's like, you were a kid soldier. I was a drug runner. Big deal. So was Han Solo.
We change.
Yeah.
Which is something I like about this. It definitely has themes that you are not beholden to who you were. You can always become more. But the movie doesn't slow down enough to actually allow that to gestate or have any kind of impact. You always have to be on to the next scene so fast.
Yeah, because then you have them... They get the message out of C-3PO's head and reboot.
Which, by the way, they found the dagger in what's his butt shit on the ship on the planet. Yeah, they found it in his shit on the planet. Actually, that's not entirely untrue.
No, it wasn't in the ship. It was in the little hole.
Was it in the little hole?
Yeah, we already went over this. It was in the little hole with the snake.
Did we? I thought we must have grazed over it. I thought
I mentioned it briefly.
Okay. Well, at least you did, because I don't remember the movie ever making much of a deal out of it. They're just like, we have this dagger. Let's translate. Okay.
Yep. And then you they get the memory out of C-3PO's head, erase C-3PO so he's back to default settings.
Yes.
And just kind of following them around.
And they pick up another small little droid on the way from what's-his-butt ship.
Yeah. That one that actually speaks English.
Yeah. And then there's Carrie Russell gives Poe, I don't remember
it's like
Carrie Russell's character's name. I just remember her as being Carrie Russell. I'm so sorry. But she gives him this magical go anywhere coin.
Yeah. And they choose to land on his Star Destroyer.
Yes. Now, oh, no, the other thing I will say I enjoyed, this is a holdover from the previous movie, Last Jedi, was Poe and, or not Poe,
Ben?
No, Rey and Ren. I enjoy Rey and Ren's interactions through force seeing each other. Like each one sees them in a place that they're at. Like Rey sees Ren sees Rey on the ground in the city.
It's very clear they only see the other one. They don't see where they're at.
No, and I like this a lot because it has a lot of clever ramifications. Like they get into a bit of a fight and they spill coffee beans everywhere, and the coffee beans spill towards Rey, and they go all over the Star Destroyer ship. She's on board trying to, what was she trying to do?
Stuff and things, and they eventually find Chewie.
Yeah, I legitimately don't remember what they were doing, why she was on that ship.
Oh, I think she went up there to try to steal. I think she was trying to steal his little navigator.
That's
GPS.
That's right. She tried to do that.
But
okay, now we're on topic.
I believe that's why because they didn't want to go look for the other one.
Yes, and then
because she was in his quarters.
Rey and Ren fight in his quarters, and they smash the Darth Vader stand, and he's
that's how he's like, "Oh shit, she's up on my ship."
Yeah, he immediately goes, "Oh, so that's where you are. Okay, I'm coming for you. Sit tight. Don't do anything stupid, like go free the Wookiee."
They free Chewbacca, and it is revealed who the traitor is.
Yes, you get told, it turns out that it's General Hux.
I like his reason for being a traitor, though.
He's the dumbest reason, but it's also the only reason.
It makes sense for him, though. He's like, I don't care if you win.
Here's the problem with that, though. I
hate Kylo Ren.
This is a carryover from how Kylo Ren was in Last Jedi. He is too stupid evil to actually be effective. And they, all through the movie, there's this new general that's come in, General Pride, I think is his name.
Yeah.
And
who answers directly to the Emperor.
Yeah, you find that out after the traitor is revealed, after it's Hux, and it kind of builds in this sinister way, and you're like, well, this guy we've never seen is here. He just showed up. He's in charge of everything. He's perfectly positioned. He should be the spy, but that's so obvious they're not going to do it, so it has to be Hux. So it goes off, and they escape, and they shoot Hux in the leg, and he goes back to them and is like, yeah, we tried to stop them, but they overpowered us. I'm sorry. They escaped. I got shot. And he's like, oh, well, that's too bad. And he turns around and shoots Hux.
Yeah. And he's like, found the traitor.
Yeah. And that's the end of that. And it's like, well, glad we had that scene.
That was a very general assumption.
Thanks for coming in, guy who plays General Hux, for your two hours worth of screen time, or your 2 hours worth of stage time that, we're going to cut down to about maybe 30 seconds.
Yep. And then they continue onward.
And they go to the planet.
It is a moon of Endor.
Another moon of Endor.
That is where the Death Star landed.
Okay, so I don't know what space metal the Death Star is made out of, but how fortunate is it that it happened to land in this exact spot where it isn't eroded anymore? And then they magically discover this little hidden tape inside the dagger that leads them to stand in a very certain spot on a very certain place and look at a very certain angle so that they can maybe point at where you're supposed to go. And none of the Death Star has been eroded beyond, we'll be generous and say, how old do you think Rey is? 28?
In her 20s, somewhere.
In her mid-20s?
Yeah.
She was abandoned on the planet, we'll say it's 6. So let's go ahead and say she's about 26, 25. So it's a damn good thing that in the time between when that knife was made with this special little dealie that comes out the bottom of the hilt that was never addressed or brought up, they just kind of scratch at it and go, oh, look, I found this thing and it leads to where we need to go. That A, the Death Star piece that they need to go into has not shifted its place. B, the rock you're supposed to stand on has not eroded at all. And C, that the Death Star portion itself has not eroded to the point where that becomes irrelevant.
Yeah.
So,
sci-fi, man. Just
no, lazy writing. That's what that is. And that's the problem with this. All of this feels like they're written backwards from where they are. They need them to be at X place. They have a dagger. What does the dagger do? It has a special thing that flips out of the hilt. When did they discover that? They discover it on the rock.
Not to mention the language on the dagger is very much a dead language.
Yes. It would be like translating something into Italian. And
I really don't know how C-3PO would even know how to read it because...
Well, he's fluent in over 3 million forms of communication. Thank God that included the dead language of an evil space wizard race. Just in case. He can't speak it, but he knows it just in case.
Yeah. Anakin through that. He's like, I'll be a Sith one day.
Yeah. That was what happened at the end of episode 3. He comes back and he's like, 3PO, come here. Don't tell my wife this. I'm going to make you learn how to speak Sith. And he's like, oh my, Master Anakin, why did you build me such? Because I hate you, 3PO. I just hate you. Everyone will hate you from now on. Oh dear.
That's why you'll have a red arm at some point in time.
Red arm, silver legs. Nobody will like you. I don't know why I built you the way I did when apparently you're a mass manufactured piece of equipment that really didn't need to be built in the first goddamn place. But we get the location of where Palpatine is, or we get the location of the other Sith Wayfinder.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're called.
I think so.
And Rey confronts Dark Rey, which is in the trailers and lasts for about as long as it does there.
Dude, that's something I knew what that was going to be, but I really wish it had been longer.
Yeah, it would have been nice because that would have been something you could reinforce as Rey having to struggle with. Is this who I am meant to be?
Yeah, it's like this is the version.
I've got all these abilities to do evil powers.
This is a version that was very much supposed to be like, if you give into the dark side, this is what you could be.
Yeah,
and it was supposed to be like this great, powerful thing, but like, you have 10 seconds of the weird lightsaber.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And then she gets kicked out, and then Kylo Ren confronts her on the ship because he knew where to go.
And they have another fight.
And
And then
he destroys the Wayfinder, and she gets pissed and stabbing him and stealing his ship.
And the whole time
Princess Leia dies. Now, here's something I'm confused about. Did she do that with the intention to distract her son so that he would get stabbed, so he would then get healed and be redeemed? Or was she just fucking with him?
Yes. Not to mention...
You think she turned to Maz Kanata and she's like, hey, watch this. This is going to be hilarious.
And then the whole time, Finn's watching
and shouting to try and get her attention?
With his Power Ranger-looking girlfriend?
God, that's right. We discovered other people on this planet.
That are former stormtroopers.
Yeah, they're all former stormtroopers. Which, again, is never explained why they are able to defect. They just got to the point where they're like, I don't want to shoot these people. Bye.
The Force did it. Remember? It was the Force.
That's Finn's explanation. Is like, the Force guided you. He's like, why didn't the Force guide other people to this? The Force is an asshole.
But Rey stabs Kylo Ren.
Yes, and she steals his ship after she heals him and flies off.
And then he has a moment with his dad, who... is also a Force ghost, even though Han Solo can never use the Force.
I like to think that was just a hallucination from blood loss and trauma that he experienced.
I guess.
And he has a conversation with him, and he's like, go on, son. You know what you meant to do. And then he turns around and he chucks his lightsaber off into the sea. And then we hard cut over to Rey on the island that Luke Skywalker was on, burning down the ship, exiling herself. And then Luke shows up for 5 seconds to give her a pep talk. And she's like, I'm so worried I'm evil. He's like, no, you're not evil. And she's like, okay.
Here, take Leia's lightsaber that she made during completing her Jedi training.
Yeah, by the way, Leia's a Jedi. We didn't mention that, but she is. And here's her lightsaber that I stole and hid with mine.
Because she saw her son dying.
Yes, she got a forced premonition that her son would die at the end of her Jedi training. And I don't... This movie's confusing, Jared. Yeah. This movie's really confusing.
I'm trying to speed us up through the end because we still have
But Luke Skywalker quite literally turns to the camera and addresses the audience directly and says, "You'll need 2 lightsabers for what comes next." And I wish that was a joke or an exaggeration, but it's not.
Exposition. No.
And then he force raises his old X-Wing and says,
can still work after 30 years of being underwater.
Spaceships, man, they don't build them like they used to, apparently.
Apparently fucking not.
And she hooks in. Apparently she had the foresight to take the Sith Wayfinder and not burn it down with the ship. Also, how do you burn down a spaceship?
I don't know.
Because it's never explained. You just see the TIE fighter on fire, and I'm like, that thing's real flammable. I don't think we should be taking it in and out of atmospheres.
Force lightning.
Did they make it out of felt and bear stuffings?
No, she was just like, I'm sick of this. I'm exiling myself and using the dark side.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Channeled her Palpatine.
Yeah. So we go off, and she finds Extrocell?
What?
Whatever the planet's name is?
The Sith homeworld?
We'll say that, sure. And she finds Emperor Palpatine.
And she leads a signal for all the others to come fight with her, too.
But that's unnecessary because the droid they found in What's-His-Butt ship has the pathway into it because he went to go see Palpatine. And so ultimately, the Simple Wayfinder was completely pointless.
Yeah.
And we just spent like an hour
on
fucking doing nothing
on Wayfinders.
And no progress is made. Nobody's character gets developed. And it's just, it made me mad.
Anyway, so they go and they
Rey confronts Papa Palp Palp, who is like Papa Palp Palp, and is like, "Don't worry, I'm actually your grandfather. You've got my blood in you.
You're going to kill me and assume the rightful place on the Sith throne, and you're going to absorb every Sith that ever was." And it's like, hold up, what?
This is where midichlorians come into play, because one of the things I actually genuinely enjoyed was the idea that Rey did not have to be related to anybody in previous Star Wars in order to be important. It was kind of said that you don't have to be a Skywalker or a Vader or a Windu or a Palpatine. You can just be somebody. Any greatness can come from anywhere. That's the idea that Last Jedi held, and it's something that I like. It's a good story motif.
They
Except here, they're like, you're special because of the blood that's in your veins. You're not just a nobody. You have to be somebody in order to do this.
See, that's why I know you don't watch them, but that's why I liked Rebels, because the character Ezra was a nobody, and he was a great Jedi.
Well, according to these movies, he has to be related to somebody.
He was not.
He has to be.
He had parents that were like just regular people.
Well, apparently so did Rey, but he's got to be related to somebody. Maybe
he wasn't.
Maybe he's secretly Mace Windu's bastard child.
Well, nope, he is.
Or Kit Fisto.
Well, nope, he's lost on a planet somewhere now. But anyway,
he's gonna find out. He's gonna find out he's Udu Tubu's great grandson or something from like 1,000 years ago. That was his Jedi ancestor.
Nope. Anyway.
That's something that I really, really dislike about this movie. Like, more than the continuity rewriting, more than the really bland characterization that they're given, it's walking over the idea that you have to be related to somebody important in this universe, when, like, the most interesting part of Last Jedi was the idea that that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you can be special no matter who you are.
I really liked that, and that was like the one part, but so many fans got mad.
I know.
And
now we enter the final 45-minute stretch of this movie, which is basically oops, all fan service.
Kylo Ren shows up.
No, Ben Solo shows up.
And she force hands him Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, because he meets up with the Knights of Ren, and they start kicking his ass because apparently Ben Solo never realized, oh, right, I never completed my Jedi training, so I'm not too good with the Force like everything else, and they kicked my ass.
Apparently, the Knights of Ren were supposed to be Force-sensitive people too, but hand him a lightsaber, and how badass they're supposed to be immediately goes out the window, and he slices through all of them.
Yes.
And I guess that just goes to show all you need in Star Wars is a laser sword.
I guess so.
Because remember, Finn kicked a lot of ass in the first one when he had the lightsaber.
I enjoyed that scene, actually. And again, it kind of went with the idea that you don't have to be a Force person in order to do cool things.
Yep.
You can just be average Joe and be cool. But now, no. You have to have the Force, and your Force has to come from somewhere.
Yep, and
I'm willing to bet that the next movie, if they explore Finn's Force sensitivity, he'll be related to Mace Windu.
Oh,
bet me money.
Nope, not gonna do it.
You would lose. I'm willing to bet $5 American. that is Finn's backstory for that.
You're probably right.
But anyway, we go through this extended fight scene where Rey and Ben Solo try and stop the Emperor, and he shoots lightning at them both, and they block it. But then he
blasts Kylo or Ben off a cliff. I keep calling him Kylo.
Yeah. Well, at first he just stuns them and then sucks a bunch of energy.
Yeah,
out
he
of them.
force vampires a thing, which is also now a thing. It's the reverse of force healing. It's force vampirism.
Sure, why not? And he's like,
he suddenly becomes a less okay looking old man, but his hands are fine now.
Yeah.
And he can see again.
I've got my digits back. I can maniacally twirl them.
I didn't understand the whole, he looked better before he did the force vampire thing, minus his hands, and then he goes back to the fucked up face. I don't understand this at all.
I don't know. I can't even pretend to know. But he sucks some force life out of Ben and Rey
because they are bridges in the Force, I guess. And special.
Okay, here's something, because in the Last Jedi movie, the fact that Kylo Ren and Rey could talk to each other was because
Snoke said it was him.
Set them up like that. So does that mean that Palpatine was actually the one setting them up like that? And if he did, was he manipulating it so that they could talk to each other back and forth again, like twice in this movie? And if so, why didn't he just tell Kylo Ren, she's on your ship, you'd better stop fucking around?
I think it was meant to be that Snoke said he did it, but he was full of shit, and it was just something they could do because of this special bond they shared, being these bridges in the Force, because
I suppose
he's the grandchild of a great Jedi, and she's the grandchild of the world's greatest Sith, and
I guess. But unfortunately, because Rey is related to Palpatine, that means that she's like first cousins with Ben Solo.
Okay, this is not a thing.
So here's the working theory: is it's generally accepted that Palpatine is or Darth Sidious was the trainee to Darth Plagueis.
Yes.
And in some book that they've got out there.
Now, I
will say this is probably expanded universe and no longer counts, because they just like to fuck around with whatever does or does not count anymore.
So there's two people holding arguments to this. There is the group that wrote this story that they basically manipulated the Force and created Anakin Skywalker.
Yes, which technically makes Palpatine Anakin's dad.
Yeah.
Because he used his midichlorians, which are in his blood, to influence the Force to impregnate Shmi Skywalker. So that technically means that Anakin Skywalker is the son of Darth Sidious.
So there's that, and then
in so doing, that means that Luke Skywalker, son of Darth Vader, is the grandson to Emperor Palpatine, which means that Ben Solo
is the great-grandson,
cousin to, or nephew to Luke Skywalker, is in fact related to Rey.
Yeah, Palpatine would be like his great-great-grandfather because you forget Luke and Leia were twins.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Palpatine would be like his great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, so there is blood relation between Kylo Ren and Rey, and they kiss later. And this isn't one of those, we wrote the idea that Darth Vader is Luke's father, and then we decided that Leia was his sister, like in the next movie. You don't get that, because this is all one movie now. So they had to know that by doing this, they're saying, oh yeah, incest is awesome.
But there's also the group of people that will sit there and defend that, no, Anakin was Jesus. Like,
Anakin was not space Jesus.
That's basically what they're saying. It's two teams of writers, the people that wrote one of the movies and the people who wrote that. They go back and forth on it. They're like, no, this is bullshit. This was not a thing. And yeah,
I don't know, man. But long story short, Rey overpowers the Emperor because she summons the lightsaber that she gave Ben Solo back, and she dual wield crosses the blades and forces the Emperor's lightning back at him.
And then immediately
horribly violently explodes him.
Yeah. And
like
then
Raiders of the Lost Ark style. Like his flesh starts peeling out, his eyes explode, and he just goes,
and then
blows up.
She immediately fucking dies.
Okay, so that happens. And we'll get back to this. But we got to talk about the space battle.
Where Wedge shows up.
Where Wedge shows up, everybody shows up.
Because apparently at first it looked like no one was going to show up. It looked
like nobody was going to show up.
They had to, as a Star Wars fan, they
go through this red vapor in space to get to this planet so they can shut down all this massive army of
Star Destroyers.
Super duper Star Destroyers that apparently all have fucking
Star Killer base cannons.
Yes. Just fucking be done with this shit. It's not enough that you have this army of people you just summoned out of nowhere. You also have these ships that just spontaneously have this ability. Go fuck yourself.
Like, are they just trying to blow up every planet? No,
I guess.
Live up on ships?
I guess. Because they send one out and it explodes Carrie Russell's planet, but she shows up at the end. No explanation of how she got off without that magic coin that allows her through the blockade. But they come to the conclusion that the ships can't leave the planet's atmosphere without the tracking signal from this base tower that's going to transmit the signal to everybody.
That then gets teleported to a ship.
That they then just transport that to a ship. And it's like, why don't you just keep transporting that to different ships so that way in case one goes down, they don't all. And then J.J. Abrams smacked me in the back of the head and said, shut the fuck up, I'm making movies over here. I don't know how he did it. He just spontaneously appeared in my theater and just smacked the back of my head. It was weird.
Yep.
But the
whole time the space battle's going on, you don't care because you want it to go back down to Kylo or Ben Solo and Rey fighting.
You want to see
Palpatine.
two people actually having character progression rather than this butt-numbing space battle that doesn't mean anything in the long run.
Yeah, because I knew Lando was going to show up. Wedge showed up, and everyone else.
Whole host of people showing up, blowing up ships, which they do something. They do sort of do something interesting, which is they get the people that they found on the other Endor moon to ride out on their giant space goat horses.
Yeah.
And they charge forward and they're like just jam their speedas. It won't be a big deal. And like, they don't have speedas.
They're on horses.
And then it's like, what are they doing then? And it cuts and it's like, what? Horses? I've never. And they ride forward and they blow up General Pryde's ship, who just walks to the front window and you actually see his body fly out as the bridge explodes. I laughed. I shouldn't have, but it was funny, and I don't think they intended it to be.
Nope.
So they wrap all that up, and apparently they only had the one signal placer for the ships, so that goes away. And then all the ships are just like, oh, we can't do anything. No, the people that showed up are blowing us all up.
The power of togetherness.
The power of friendship has killed us. Why didn't we watch Care Bears or My Little Pony or something like that?
We get a very My Little Pony message out of that.
You do. And you cut down to the planet where Ben Solo has climbed out of the bottomless pit that he got cast into, and was then able to use the ability to bring Rey back to life.
They make out.
They kiss.
And then he dies.
And rather than try and find a way to save him by channeling a little bit of Force life into him, he disappears. And it's just like, well, it's a good thing Rey didn't disappear when she died then. I guess.
And then Leia also disappears, even though she's been dead for a minute.
Yeah, she's been laying on that slab in a jungle for a while now, so I don't really even want to know what that smelled like.
I'm wondering if she, bonded herself to her son and was
I wrote this off as something I really shouldn't be asking
influencing
questions.
him the whole time. I don't know.
I don't know. I wrote this off as something I really don't need to be asking questions about.
Yep, and then she flies away.
And her body disappears, and then Rey has to get back in her X-Wing, or Luke's X-Wing, and then fly out, so that there's no ambiguity about whether or not she made it, or if she's going to go off and have different adventures. They're like, no, she made it, and we'll meet up, and we'll be friends again. Yay!
Yeah, they all meet up and have the end hugging scene, and
yes,
celebratory moment, and Chewie, 40 years later, finally gets his fucking medal.
This was another scene I love, because Chewbacca, they hand him the medal, and he's like, and in my head, I'm like, you fucktards had this for 40 goddamn years! I knew I got gypped!
Right? And
that was something else. When they got back to the planet, and they try to give the update to Leia about what they've discovered with the spy, and they're like, I'm sorry, Leia's dead, and Chewie's just falls to the ground. He's like, I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, I'm finally free! The last life debt gone! Free at last!
that was even before they went to the planet to find.
It was. I just remembered it because of that. And then we get a bunch of shots like you do in Return of the Jedi of various other planets partying, because you get Ewoks celebrating, even though they didn't have the balls to actually have them interact with Ewoks during the actual movie.
Yeah, it was also a cameo for the guy who played an Ewok, and now
Warwick Davis.
Yeah, and it's actually his son plays the Ewok next to him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just kind of that's his character's son in the movie and his son in real life.
And then they bravely cut over to everybody else having a party, and they have the first openly gay kiss on screen that lasts for about a second and a half. That you blink and you'll miss it.
I did. Because I didn't notice
and
it.
It can be easily chopped out of that scene to be released in China, because they don't like gays over there. So thanks for including people that can be cut, Disney. Good to know you'll place profits over actual progressiveness any day of the week.
I did not know that.
I didn't either. I had to hear about this later. I'm like, and it's the one woman that you kind of see on the planet every now and again.
Oh,
it's her and somebody else, and they're in the background and they kiss, and it much like Lando,
I remember vaguely,
much like Lando being pansexual, being the big touting thing for Solo that makes zero fucking impact on the story. They tried to parade this around, like, we've got the first openly gay kiss, and they're like, did you see it? There it was. We're not going to rewind.
Yeah, but incest is massively okay.
Yeah,
at
that's
this
fine.
point.
That's fine.
And then you, after all the parties, you hard cut to Tatooine.
Hard cut to Tatooine, a planet that means nothing and everyone hated. Han Solo hated it because Jabba the Hutt lived there. Anakin Skywalker hated it because he was a slave there and his mom got killed by sand people. Luke hated it because his uncle and aunt got burned to death by the Empire. Leia never visited Tatooine.
Yeah.
And Rey grew up on Jakku, another desert planet where nothing happened. She wanted nothing more than to go live a life of adventure. Desert planets suck ass.
Yeah.
And no one likes Tatooine.
Even the Mandalorian didn't like it.
No, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But she goes to the Lars homestead and buries the lightsaber, Luke and Leia's lightsabers, And it's like, I'm pretty sure Luke would want to be buried somewhere like that was closer to him, maybe the Yavin Temple, and Leia maybe have hers placed on Coruscant somewhere, like somewhere she was more at home than a planet she never visited.
I was about to say her home planet was well gone. No, she went to Tatooine once.
That's right. She got
enslaved.
Leia was enslaved on Tatooine. Yeah, nobody has good memories of this planet.
Yeah. Fuck that. Fuck that. Dude, Boba Fett hated that planet. He got thrown in the planet.
Boba Fett's the lamest bounty hunter ever.
He fucking hated it.
But she buries the lightsabers, and this old woman shows up out of nowhere.
She's like, it's been ages. Who are you?
Who are you? Why are you at this place that got burned down? What's your name? I'm Ray. What's your last name? Like real forceful. Like everybody in this movie constantly harps on her. It's like anytime she introduces herself,
what's your last name?
What's your last name? Tell me. I have to know.
No, well, also you forgot about the part where she buries the lightsabers, flicks on her own lightsaber.
Oh yes, because we have to know that she built her own.
She built her own gold lightsaber.
Yes, and
flicks it off. And then this old lady shows up.
This old woman shows up.
She's like, "Oh, you must be a Jedi. You just flicked on a lightsaber for no reason."
I thought those Jedi's illegal and should be hunted. I think I remember the government saying something about that.
Well, Tatooine was on the Outer Rim and didn't pay attention to the government anyway.
And then Ray looks off at the distance and sees the Force ghost of Luke and Leia standing there, and she identifies herself as Skywalker. And that really should have been a cue in the old woman's head and been like, Skywalker, like the kid that ran away and because he supposedly killed his aunt and uncle by burning them alive? That's Skywalker? I think I'm going to leave now. You might be a mass murderer as well.
Yeah.
That's how that conversation should have gone.
Yep. And that's it.
And that's Rise of Skywalker. We just saved you like an hour and a half, everybody. I want you to appreciate that.
Yep.
Because what we just did is we truncated some things, but that's okay because the movie really stretched a few things out.
We could have gone on much longer.
There's a number of things that I literally do not remember in the movie because it's been a bit and everything happens so fast.
I know somebody who saw that movie 3 times in a row.
I can't imagine doing that.
He loved it.
I can't imagine doing that. But I was not kidding when I said, don't get popcorn or drink. Don't go to the bathroom, because if you do, you're going to miss something that is crucial for this flimsy house of cards to stay propped up. And if you start asking questions, it all just crumbles apart. Again, this movie had things I liked about it. It's not the worst Star Wars ever.
No.
I still like all 3 of these infinitely more than I like the prequels. But man, can I not classify this as a good movie. It is...
It was fine. That's how it was fine.
It's just barely crossing the line of fine.
Yeah.
It's not incompetent to the point where you have to sit there and wonder what the hell happened. But at the same time, nothing is surprising. Nothing is interesting.
The only reason I even can say this movie was fine is because there's so many fans out there who are just like, Disney ruined Star Wars, blah, blah. And it's
No, sir. George Lucas ruined Star Wars long ago.
Here's my argument for it. It's like, Disney didn't ruin Star Wars for the Star Wars fans. Star Wars fans ruined Star Wars for the Star Wars fans.
That's very true.
And it's just like, you bullied the actors on social media so much to where some of them have quit. You harped on oh
God, we didn't even talk about Kelly Marie Tran not being in this movie.
Yeah, she wasn't even.
She's on set, but then they don't do anything with her. And it's like, she was easily one of the more interesting characters from The Last Jedi.
She was the average person.
She was the average person. That was exactly what that movie, all these movies needed and missed horribly, was an average person POV. That way you could have the exposition because the average person didn't know about this shit.
Yeah.
But they're just like, no, we have other stories we have to tell.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm saying, like, the fans have ruined it because you can't please everybody and everybody wants to be pleased. And it's like, just shut up and enjoy Star Wars. Like, you're not going to recreate the magic that the first 3 movies. First 3 movies is a miracle trilogy within itself.
Honestly, it is. It's amazing that thing got anywhere off the ground.
Exactly. And you're not going to recreate that same feeling you had as a kid. There's just no way.
No.
And you can't, but you're so like fandom to the point where you bully the fucking actors off social media. Like, these guys are normal people.
Yeah.
And you just can't.
Even before this, Jake Lloyd was getting fucking death threats.
Yeah.
He's a goddamn child. The dude who played Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you ever want to be ashamed of being a fan of something, listen to that man talk about the things he heard from Star Wars fans.
Yeah, it's
disgusting.
Yeah. Fandom ruined Star Wars. Like, fans of Star Wars ruined Star Wars.
Yes.
And they try to blame everybody else except themselves.
That being said, Disney hasn't exactly done anything to curtail that either. They've allowed the hype to build and build and build to the point where that is basically their most dedicated fan base, is the rabid section. Mm-hmm. The section that hates everything but loves it, then will be horrible towards people, and the most toxic community is the ones that they know are going to buy tickets.
Yeah.
And so that's the ones they try and stir into a frenzy.
Well, it's like you at some point you have to realize Disney kind of gets Star Wars, because you can turn out things like The Mandalorian. Somebody gets Star Wars on some level to get shows. Somebody
somewhere does.
To get shows like Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian. Like, people get Star Wars and understand Star Wars.
I think the problem is the people in charge of the big Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
I don't think they get Star Wars, because I don't think they understand what made the original magic. And
exactly, that's why, like, with things like The Mandalorian, I can tell Jon Favreau gets it. Like,
Jon Favreau, he's not a bad director.
No,
he's good. He knows what he's doing when it comes to writing.
The man launched the MCU, and everyone, like, no one really looks at all the stuff Jon Favreau has done. Like, the man fucking launched the MCU, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
like, Iron Man could have been terrible,
but no, he made Iron Man a good standalone piece. He understands the purpose of making a movie to satisfy the movie, not to become something else later.
He did that. He made Elf, instant holiday classic.
I hate Elf.
Dude, still, people love it. It's instant holiday classic.
People also love A Christmas Story, but I hate that movie too.
Well,
come at me, Internet.
They already have, Sean.
They have.
And, he's done The Mandalorian. Like, Jon Favreau gets movie making, and he gets it.
Well, speaking of, let's go ahead and jump over to The Mandalorian.
I love the fact I get to say I told you so about something. That's way at the end. Yeah. But
I heard the phone a-ringing, and then you texted me. It's like, you hear that? You hear that phone? You better get it, because I called it. And yeah, we get the Darksaber, which is,
well, I mean, come on, man.
All right, let's tackle this.
I have just the past couple of years or so, I've had the weird ability to call stuff. Like, remember when we went and saw the Bruce Lee movie, and I go, and cue the white guy, and the white guy smashes somebody with a pot.
I think you have shitty movie sixth sense. You have shit sense. That's what's going on. You can sense the most inane and stupid thing, and you're like, that's what it's going to be.
I told you the Darksaber was going to show up.
But let's go ahead and start off where we left off with episode 5.
Yes.
Which one was episode 5? I've forgotten.
Was that the prison episode where episode 5 is no, episode 5 is Tatooine.
Is episode 5 Tatooine?
Episode 5 is Tatooine. Episode 6 is the space jail.
Yes.
And then 7 and 8.
7 and 8 are the finale.
The finale.
Well, that's what I was figuring. I was wanting to make sure with you first. I thought this episode was going to be... hi, everybody who tuned in specifically for The Mandalorian. Glad you're here. Sorry if you listened through all of our ranting about Force or Jedi... No,
we tried to
Skywalker.
We tried to make it small, but we just couldn't.
Yeah, there's too much to unpack. We could have gone on longer.
Yeah.
But we didn't. But we're talking about The Mandalorian now, and I thought this was going to be the fan service episode.
It was not.
It super wasn't, because...
You're just on Tatooine. Besides that... No,
you're on Tatooine, you go to Mos Eisley, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
You don't have any major you don't have a cantina scene. You don't do anything.
He goes into the cantina.
He goes to the
cantina. But there's no music playing.
Yeah.
I thought for certain there's going to be that same dude wiping down the bar and he's like, no Mandalorians or whatever. And no, instead it's all run by robots now.
Yep. Which he fucking hates.
You kind of
you got a little bit of fan service with the little Popeye droids from episode 1, but
yeah, the pit droids. Oh God, I'm being reminded of pit droids. Why'd you do that, Jared?
Sorry. And
is this payback for reminding you of fucking pod racing?
I didn't mind pod racing,
but
you can tell Tatooine has changed.
Yes.
And it's very subtle, but you find like Empire Stormtrooper
helmets on pikes, which is fucking brutal. And I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty badass. And he goes inside and he meets this kid who's on his first ever hunt. And he's trying to hunt down this assassin?
Yes. Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah, it's Ming-Na Wen, who, again, always wonderful
fun
to see.
Always fun to see her.
Every time she's on screen, great characters. Even her Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. character, who really got it in the shorts in the end. 90% of that series, best goddamn character.
For sure.
And she's only in it for a very brief time, but the time she's there, it's like, I can dig it. I can see her being an assassin.
Her character makes the most sense. She's definitely the most logical.
Yes.
Like, she gets it.
Careful.
Sorry, I'm trying.
Jared's having to adjust everything.
Sorry.
It's like that scene in Tremors where the graboid bursts through the basement wall.
Shut up.
So they go off to try and hunt her, and she's apparently super, super well known to the point where even the Mandalorian's like, yeah, I'm not fucking with this.
He's like, there's no way you... But he needs money to fix his ship.
Yeah, so...
Which is blasted in a space battle.
Yeah. Somebody... Which this kind of confuses the point further about how the tracking fob works.
Yes.
Because there's a dude in space who's like, hand over the child, Mando, and I promise I won't blast you into astro dust or whatever.
Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, and then pew, 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 and he circles around and explodes his ass. And he has to go down to Tatooine and land in Mos Eisley Spaceport.
Yep.
And so they go off on a hunt for this assassin.
Well, the baby is babysitted by the
mechanic.
By the mechanic who's like, I'll charge him more.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like a mean, money-hungry bitch, and I don't hate it.
I was down for it.
I didn't hate it.
I was like, you get it, girl.
Go for it.
You get that money.
This little baby thing's just chilling. Like, how could you leave a child, Mando?
Charge you for daycare services. Have you seen those rates? We got to protect against gangster slugs around here.
Oh, wait, no. There was that murder boy who killed his family and did all the space slugs.
Yeah, you remember that guy who burned down his family and then joined a group of insurgents to destroy the government? Yeah, that kid. He lived here. Guy. And he killed a local crime lord that kept businesses in check and open. That's why the bar is run by droids now, is because he couldn't keep up. Jabba the Hutt was actually super good for the community.
Hey man, sometimes gangsters are. You never know.
Yeah. So they hunt her down. They go through a lot of...
I didn't understand the title of this episode.
What was the title on this one?
Gunslinger.
I think because that's like what the kid was aiming to be.
He wasn't. He kind of sucked.
He did.
He was definitely like the most annoying character. Like he got snuck up on by sand people, and Manda, he's like, "You're gonna have to tell the sand people that." He's like, "What sand people?" And they're immediately there. Yeah. It's like that's kind of the sand people's thing, you know. I get it, but he was like,
Mando communicates with the sand people, which apparently he knows how to do this.
I mean, you got to pick up skills somewhere,
I guess. Didn't really bother me too much. I was like.
And he bartered this dude's fucking binoculars for it. He's like, fuck your binoculars. And
I have zoom in my helmet, so shut up.
This is basically the point, though, where it shows you how good his new armor is, though. The Beskar steel, because it's like bouncing shit off of it. And that also leads Ming-Na Wen, when they finally, they're able to corner her. And they do it like they go at nighttime and they're using flares to throw off her.
Yes, because she's using thermals and that blinds her blinds her vision
Which
whenever she tries to aim.
Pretty clever.
It's very clever. It's like I dig it.
Like that's good writing in Star Wars.
It's good construction.
And like they get her captured, and then she just starts trying to talk her way out of it. And if I was this kid at this point, I'm convinced, like, she was like, look, he has a bigger price on his head than I do.
Yeah.
Like, look at that fucking armor he's wearing. That's worth more than my bounty. What the fuck are you doing, kid? Like, and plus, I'm meeting up with somebody who could pay you double. Like, this dude stood to make a lot of money.
But he was stupid.
And
he's like, you know what? Yeah, he's probably worth way more than you.
Yeah, it's like,
and kills Ming-Na Wen.
I'm just saying, at this point, if I'm the kid, I take Ming-Na Wen back, but I work with her a double cross out. I double cross Mando, kill him, take his armor, take the kid, and then drop her off wherever she needs to go, and then go turn the kid into the facility, and I'm fucking famous and in the guild now.
You would figure, but
nope, he's dumb.
He's pretty dumb.
He kills her and takes the speeder bike back to Mos
Eisley, yeah. Which then Mando has to ride a do-back.
Yep.
All the way back.
Because his speeder bike got blown up in trying to capture her.
Yes.
And then he has to kill this kid who is holding the mechanic at gunpoint.
Yes.
And he steals what money this guy had on him and pays her with it.
Yeah, he's like, here, use this. And she's like, oh, that's actually a fucking lot of money. All right.
Yeah, we're good. Take care of the kid.
Yeah, and that's the end of the Tatooine episode. But no, it's not, because somebody comes up to Ming-Na Wen's body and like pokes her with a stick.
I'm assuming it was the person she was supposed to be meeting.
Maybe, but it's never revealed who.
Yep.
Like that's going to maybe something that's going to be in
I think they're saving
season.
that for season 2.
It's probably saving that for season 2.
And then next you have the space episode.
Or as I like to call it, Mando teams up with Bill Burr and Clancy Brown, who is another person I'm always happy to see on screen.
You mean Bobby Elvis?
Bobby Elvis.
It's the character he played in Sons of Anarchy. I'm a huge Sons of Anarchy fan.
I am not a Sons of Anarchy fan, so I cannot say.
Yep.
Clancy Brown, better known for a lot of people as any number of things. Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob. He's the old detective in Detroit Become Human. The Kurgan from Highlander. Or my personal favorite of his new stuff, he's Red Death in Venture Brothers, who is probably one of my favorite characters of all. But Clancy Brown plays the Iridonian, I think they're called. I don't know. He's the red dude with the horns.
Yeah, no, that's not the guy I was talking about. I was talking about Bobby Elvis. The guy who plays him is, let me get his name.
Are you talking about the bald guy? Because that was Bill Burr.
No, Mark Boone Jr. The guy who set the whole job up.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that guy.
So Mando's still needing money and gas and whatnot. So he parks his craft in a space station and goes to talk to somebody he used to run jobs with back in the day. And he tells him, he's like, I got this thing I need doing.
That's the character I was talking about.
I need you to go run a job for me with some people. And you get introduced to Bill Burr, who has a robot arm on his back that holds a blaster for him.
Yep.
And a Twi'lek who likes knives.
The girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that actress is actually kind of a big deal because she's the first actress to be in like 3 major fantasy things.
Okay.
She played Tonks in Harry Potter and she was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I remember reading that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her in more stuff, but
yeah, she's a good actress.
She's just not in stuff that I watch usually. But and Clancy Brown in a shit ton of makeup.
Yeah.
And they get told they have to work with this
droid that he hates.
Yeah.
He hates droids.
Hates droids and kids. Hates them all.
Except he loves that little baby.
And in the end, child. he kind of loves another droid, but we'll get there.
We're getting there.
We'll get there. And they go and they break out the Twi'lek's brother from this prison ship. Excuse me. Got sentimental there. And it really kind of gives a better idea of how the galaxy works a little bit, I think, because they have like police droids on this ship that patrol the area, and they have to be stealthy and avoid them, except when they don't, and they can shoot a bunch of these things. And like it shows why Mando works on his own a lot, because like the first time they come across a group that they cannot sneak by, Bill Burr is just like, no, let's see what he can do. And he takes out all the things by himself. And it's like, yeah, I understand that.
I didn't understand the double cross in that episode. Like,
it kind of comes out of nowhere, but long story short, they get to the control room, which is the only human on this ship.
Who's not supposed to be there.
Apparently not.
It was all supposed to be droid operated,
I guess. And then they shoot him, and he's already hit the little signal that says, hey, we're in trouble, come save us.
Yep, and then they try to lock Mando up there.
Yeah.
And then
I think it's because it's payback from the brother-sister deal.
Yeah,
because Mando left the brother, and that's
why he was there.
Yeah. One of the reasons he got caught.
But then Mando gets out and systematically takes all of them out.
Yeah, basically he becomes Batman in this. And it does... I'm a sucker for this scene. He's hunting down everybody, and he gets to Bill Burr, who's walking through the hallway, and the red lights are flashing, and it goes dark. Yeah, and he just appears whenever the light flashes back in, and then at the very last moment it flashes and he's not there, and I'm just like, oh, I fucking knew it. And I was like, all right, that was fun.
Yep.
And he locks, for the most part, you think that he kills them, but he ends up locking them all up in prison, and he takes his ship back.
Because the one guy convinced him, he's like, you have a code, you have finished the job, right?
Yeah, he takes the brother back and collects his money and leaves. And then the brother fishes the little device that the guard was holding out of his pocket that signaled everybody to come, and he's like, this thing's beeping.
Yeah, because at this point, they're like, fire on him. Like, they're going to betray this dude again.
He tells him to fire on Mando's ship as he leaves. And
then
the X-Wings come out and they start blowing up his ship, and he's like, yep, knew that was going to happen. And that's the end of the prison episode.
Yep. And then you have the
two-parter, episodes 7 and 8.
I felt episode 7 was basically, I had just watched the episode of the Rick and Morty about getting the crew together, and the whole time it just felt like the crew gathering episode where it's like, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
Pretty much. He goes and recruits
everyone from the previous
He goes and recruits everybody
episodes.
that he's worked with successfully. He gets the rebel shock trooper chick, and basically all he has to do is tell her, like, by the way, there's an Imperial agent involved in this. She's just like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And he goes and collects Nick Nolte from his little space planet.
Who has rebuilt IG-11.
Yes, who is now a nurse droid, and goes through the process of explaining how a droid had to relearn everything, despite the fact that that's not how reprogramming electronics works, like, at all. Well, we won't go there. This is
how Nick Nolte does it.
This is science fantasy, and it's how Nick Nolte does it. He stood back with a bottle of gin and was just like, yeah, I left the boxes from there to there, brother. I just set them down next to my garbage hut.
And then they go meet Carl Weathers, who
was going to betray them, but then Baby Yoda saves him
after he's attacked by a poisonous pterodactyl.
Yes, and a couple of other people are killed, and they lift the whatevers off.
Yep.
The Gibbs.
Yeah.
Sure. He lifts the fish dinosaur things off, and they heal Carl Weathers up, and then the next morning they move out, and then Carl Weathers kills the other two bounty hunters that are with him, and he's like, look, I was hired by the Imperials to kill you with these guys, and I'm not going to do that now, but
they want the kid.
They want the kid, and we're not going to be able to do anything about this until we get the kid back. And he's like, well, shit, okay, so let's go ahead and do this double cross thing. And they supposedly bring Mando in as the bounty along with the Baby Yoda carriage.
Yeah, it's just a closed carriage.
Yeah, but it turns out that fucking Imperial guy was smarter. Yeah, and he sent some scouts out to try and make sure about this. And Nick Nolte gets gunned down.
Yeah,
and the baby taken.
And then,
but then IG-11 shows up. Oh no! First, he gets contacted by somebody else out of the blue. Which normally, if this were a movie, this would really piss me off because this would be like introducing somebody in the final 30 minutes. God, Jared.
I'm sorry, my ass is falling asleep, dude. This chair.
I'm sorry it's so uninteresting that your butt can't stay awake for longer.
It's this chair, dude.
Sure it is. But you get contacted by this new guy called Moff Gideon.
Yes.
Who basically just has the Imperial guy murdered. It just mows everybody down. And everybody else is like, shit, what the hell are we going to do? And then the episode ends and it's like, God, I got to wait another week to figure out what's going on with this. Damn.
Not just a week. This was the early release episode because they needed to introduce force healing for Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, they had to.
So it's a week and a half.
Yeah. But they go, you pick up the next episode with basically red versus blue as stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Because it's just them having this talk about what's going on and like, did you hit the thing too hard when you told it to shut up?
Yeah, they were just smacking Baby Yoda like, shut up.
And I was like, well, let me take a look at it. You just want to look at it. And I swear to God, it felt like an episode of Red versus Blue. Between like Griff and Simmons or Church and Tucker talking to each other.
They sit and it makes fun of, oh, yep, stormtroopers suck at shooting.
Yeah, because they try to shoot this plant and they hit absolutely everything around the plant.
And then IG-11 shows up and just murders them all.
Horribly murders them, like brutal. Like he grabs one dude's arm and just starts twisting and breaking it, and you hear him screaming, and it's just like, Jesus Christ,
it's
man.
It's because you just made these guys dickheads. But also it's Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Directing,
and then he grabs the other one and starts smashing his head into the speeder bike, and it's like, fucking hell. And he then goes on a murder spree throughout the city and kills a whole bunch of the stormtroopers and
with Baby Yoda just on his chest. And
he turns around and he's like, do not worry, I will protect you. Bam, 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 bam.
Let me spin around.
Yeah.
Like spin my middle part around.
Gets into the Mandalorian.
Baby
gets into the place where
Yoda's
Mandalorian
just
and everybody else is stationed, and they're just like, wow, okay, good to see you.
And at some point, though, this big gun gets
they bring in basically an anti-aircraft gun to
and
start
Moff Gideon is like, and then that's where
he starts telling everybody who they are in the building, and it's just like, oh shit, this guy's really well connected.
Like he's somebody that was supposed to have been hanged for war crimes and somehow survived.
Yeah, that's never explained.
They'll probably
address that in season 2, but they start kicking all kinds of ass, and they go out and they grab the the super turret gun, and Mando starts mowing people down with it. Carl Weathers goes out with his dual 6-shooter laser guns and starts going blam, 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 blam.
Yep.
What's her name? The rebel shock trooper grabs her LMG and starts mowing people down from inside the bar. And it's pretty awesome. And I never actually thought I'd say this, but there's actually a couple of points where a stormtrooper was scary.
Right, that dude with the flamethrower.
Yeah, he comes in later, but this Grand Moff dude gets really smart about this, and rather than shoot Mando, he shoots the energy cell that was being used to power the gun, which explodes and almost kills him. Yeah. And everybody else drags him back inside, and they're like, oh, shit. And so we finally get to see Mando without his helmet after IG-11 cuts a giant hole in the grate so they can escape to the sewers.
Yep.
And you finally get the complete backstory from Mando's perspective as to what happened with his childhood.
Yep. I mean, it's Pedro Pascal.
It's just Pedro Pascal underneath there.
Nothing special about it.
No, and he gets back to sprayed by IG-11, and then they put his helmet back on, and then they go into the sewers as well. Yep. But it was a nice bit of emotional bonding.
No living
and completion.
thing can see my face. I'm breaking the code, and IG-11's like,
I am not a living thing.
Yep.
Your secret is safe.
I will heal you.
Yeah. And it was good. It showed where he came from versus where he is now. And it changed dramatically. And it was good storytelling. And I feel so good to say this after we got done talking about Rise of Skywalker. And it's not good storytelling.
Mandalorian is it's been good.
It has. It's had hiccups. It's not a perfect show.
No.
But overall, this is good Star Wars.
And then you get him finally meeting back up, and you see that some of those Mandalorians didn't make it out.
No, there is a pile of armor sitting in their main area, and he starts getting pissed at Carl Weathers. He's like, "Did you fucking lead anybody down here? Is this your doing?" And the armor chick comes out and says, "Nope, things happened."
Yep. And then she's down there just melting their shit and remaking it, and he finally gets his little symbol on his. He has earned his symbol, which is the symbol of 2, because he is now technically daddy to Baby Yoda.
Yes, the Baby Yoda is now a foundling, which I guess is
What they
Mandalorian talk for orphans that they've taken in.
Something, pretty much.
And he's charged with either finding its people or raising him.
See, and at this point, they talk about Jedis, but I like the way they talk about Jedis. He's like
they're mysterious. Nobody really knows what they are.
He's like, yes, he has the same powers these space wizards do.
That's how she describes them.
And he was like,
it can move things with his mind. He's like, yes, I know of these space wizards. And
he's like, I'm going to have to either find a space wizard or find this hidden planet with these kind of things on it.
This is the way.
This is the way. Yeah.
And that's the end of it.
And then the stormtroopers go down there and she pones them.
Oh, she starts kicking copious amounts of ass. And this is something I kind of wonder, because they set up this little hierarchy sort of thing. Like it's understood that every Mandalorian is capable of battle.
Yes.
But she seems to have a distinct place amongst them.
Yeah,
like
she's
almost at a higher point.
Yeah.
Not quite a leader, but obviously somebody that's revered. And like for a warrior culture, and she just goes to town on these guys with tongs and hammers.
Yeah, and she throws one into like a melting pot. I'm like,
breaks a dude's arm with them, and
it's fucking brutal.
It is, and all the while I'm just like, fucking yes, kill.
The actress who did this, I have seen her play in other stuff, and she's a really good actress.
That's good.
She played God's sister actually in Supernatural.
Okay. But we go from there, and they escape down this lava chute boat.
Yeah,
with a modified R
unit.
Unit.
Mind the way that R2 unit.
No,
looked,
it looked
though.
interesting, and for the first time in a long time, I was like, "That's a neat looking droid.
Yeah,
that's cool."
Yeah, it's just a modified R2 unit.
Yeah, and it just goes and gondolas them down this lava chute.
And then at that point, IG-11 realizes, oh shit, there's...
Well, they find out that there's like an entire squad of stormtroopers out there waiting for them.
Yep, and he was like, you have to watch over the child now.
Yeah.
So I can go back to my default function and blow myself up.
Yeah, which Mendo tries to argue him out of it, which shows where he's come from with this. He's like, he
has grown as a character.
Without saying it in so many words, he no longer views this as a machine.
Yeah.
He views this as a person almost.
He has grown as a person from episode 1 to episode 8.
And there's not a shit ton of exposition. There's no, oh, you can't do this. I see you now for what you truly are as a sentient being. And it's done entirely with the inflections of his voice. And it's so good.
He is a character that is very well written with very few lines.
Yes, he is. And
which I think, he's a warrior with a warrior's code, and it's written fantastically.
Yes, the whole thing has been written very, very well. One thing we forgot to mention, he was given a jetpack.
Yes, he was, finally.
Yeah, she was like, have you been through the training? He's like, no, I have not. And she's like, you'll learn here. And she gives it to the IG unit, and she's like, don't let him have this until he's ready.
He's ready.
Basically, he just says, I cannot be here for you. Here, take this. And the IG unit marches through the lava and blows up everybody outside.
Yep. And then Moff Gideon's ship comes.
Yeah, and they try and shoot him down. And this is the first time anybody's ever said, yeah, our blasters aren't going to work on this thing.
Yeah. I was
like, oh, okay. I guess that kind of makes sense.
And then he flies up and he bombs the plane.
Yes.
Basically.
Which then spirals off and crashes, and he's supposedly dead.
So we think.
And then Mando goes back and he takes Baby Yoda, and Carl Weathers and the rebel chick go off to start up a new bounty hunter guild.
And all is forgiven between him
and Carl Weathers, and it's like, all right, yeah, I can see this wrapping up.
And then Jared picked up the phone and called Shaw.
Yeah, because the very next scene,
Jawa's pulling apart Moff Gideon's ship, And then you see it. That black blade.
Black blade just shoots out and starts cutting a hole, and it's like, so you just gave him a glorified blowtorch for this scene. Great. All you had to do was show that he was still alive. But no, you had to put a fucking lightsaber in this goddamn show that went perfectly without any fucking...
Not just any lightsaber, the dark saber.
Something that sounds so stupid. It sounds like an edgy 15-year-old came out and was like, this is my dark saber.
No, man, I've been telling you.
Light can't escape it.
I've been telling you this whole time. This thing is a big deal to Mandalorians. It is a big deal, and there's going to be a focus on it in season 2.
I'm just going to slip into my Tina phase right now and just...
I told you so. I told you so.
Yeah, you did.
I told you.
No, I thought that was a huge misstep. Honestly, I don't think that was needed,
But I mean, we got close to 6 hours of Star Wars without a lightsaber before they introduced this thing.
I wish it was a full 7. No, we got to 6 hours and 45 minutes and 58 minutes.
Well, the episode's roughly 40, so
about 6 hours and 48 minutes worth of not having a lightsaber, and then all of a sudden, wow, lightsaber!
I told you, man, this is
God damn you!
It's the only canon black lightsaber, and it's a big deal to Mandalorian.
I suppose. Since it's a TV show, I'm willing to let it slide a little more than if it were a movie, because quite obviously they're going to get a second season out of this, and they have a lot more things they can set up and pay off. I just wish it was doing so well, because it was the least Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
I just
the second
it felt
season,
like something that did not need to be there.
Well, the implications of this guy having that weapon means at some point he has basically toppled the Mandalorian hierarchy in however many years since it was done. No, this means it's been done, because the last guy who had it was like a strong Mandalorian leader. I'll just tell you now.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
Okay. I'm just going to have to take your word on it.
See, somebody won't watch Rebels.
I don't watch this stuff, and so to me, it's just they threw in a lightsaber so they could sell a toy. Because that is exactly what lightsabers are in these movies and shows for, is to sell toys.
See, I think you're going to sell more plushies of the child than you are a dark saber.
Oh, they will, but they're going to sell dark sabers, I know. There's no way somebody didn't look at that and say, put a lightsaber in there, because that'll fucking monetize the fuck out of that.
But it's the last scene you get, and...
It is. But that's neither here nor there. All in all, I think Mandalorian has been a really, really good TV show, and on top of that, it has been a good Star Wars TV show.
I will dare to say that it is the best Star Wars thing that has happened since the original trilogy.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll second that, because I think this... Now, unfortunately, this would not have happened had Star Wars not come back with Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and all that.
Yeah, this is very true.
So
without
credit where credit is due, without Disney's acquisition, without them funneling more money than anybody should ever have a right to do anything with into this project, this would never have happened. And I don't know where that leaves us.
I mean,
I'm happy something
Disney
like this
has
exists.
to buy is Pokemon, then they take over the world.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. Oh God, I'm having terrible images of that now. I have to go now. I gotta turn in. I'm gonna become Commander Shepard. I should go.
This is the way.
This is the way. Well, that's all from us for this one. For those of you who stuck around for this supersized length podcast, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And tell us what you thought down in the comments. Did you like Rise of Skywalker and we're just a couple of asshole idiots who don't know what we're talking about? Is The Mandalorian better, or is it just okay? Let us know what you thought, and if you did enjoy this, give us a subscription and just thrust the like button down. Thrust that bell.
God damn it, Sean.
Well, how would you say it then, Jared?
Hit the like button. Smash the like button. Click the like button.
Smash the like button. Pound the bell.
God damn it, Sean.
And be sure and get deep up in that subscription.
God.
We'll see you back here next time, everybody.
Later, guys.
McClunky, Jared.
McClunky, Sean.